Welcome to the Walk Festival Hall here in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, home of the Grand Teton Music Festival. I'm Donald Runnicles, the music director of the festival. Under normal circumstances, in 10 days indeed, many musicians would be joining me for the festival. Hundreds of musicians normally come through the valley in the summer to participate in one of the world's great festivals. These are all remarkable musicians, and they are the musicians that I'm quite sure that the people you will now meet on this video one day aspire to becoming. There is a musical competition, it bears my name, the Donald Runnicles Scholarship, which is given every year to some of the most outstanding young musicians from 3 states, from Montana, from Wyoming, and from Idaho. And this scholarship will enable them, hopefully through financial support, to fulfill their dreams, or at least further their studies, whether it be a university, whether it be a college. It can take many forms. And today we have a chance of meeting last year's winners, the 2019 competition, the 3 finalists. We will also meet the 3 finalists of this year's festival, 2020. We will also be meeting the 3 judges of this competition. So without further ado, let's get to it.
Hello, my name is Jordan SHAWVER. I'm a baritone from Billings, Montana, and I'm one of this year's finalists.
Hi, my name is Colt Morgan. I'm an oboist from Guernsey, Wyoming, and I am one of this year's finalists.
Hello, I'm Fernando PEREZ. I play flute from Boise, Idaho, and I'm one of this year's finalists.
Hello, my name is Brian WACKER. I'm a baritone from Cheyenne, Wyoming, and I was one of last year's finalists.
Hi, my name is ALEXIS DEPAOLO. I'm a cellist from CASPER, Wyoming, and I was also one of last year's finalists.
Hi, my name is MCCALL. I'm a pianist from Boise, Idaho, and I was one of last year's finalists.
It's good to have all of you here, albeit virtually, per Zoom. So now a chance to meet the 3 auspicious, 3 very celebrated musicians, 3 friends and colleagues who will be judging this competition.
Hi, my name is Jerry Ho. I'm the Associate Conductor at the Shepherd School of Music at Rice University in Houston, Texas. I'm also very privileged to be the Associate Conductor for the Grand Teton Music Festival, and I am one of the judges for this year's competition.
Hi, I'm Joel Noyes. I'm Assistant Principal Cellist of the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra and a very fortunate member of the Grand Teton Music Festival Orchestra, and I am one of this year's judges.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Key. I am the Associate Principal Clarinetist of the San Antonio Symphony and the Artistic Director of Solely Chamber Ensemble, and very lucky to be a member of the Grand Teton Music Festival.
Let's have a quick word with our 3 judges. I'm not going to ask the most obvious question during this rather surreal time, which would be most likely what you miss the most. My second question would be perhaps to the 3 of you, what is the second thing through the absence of music? What would you say you miss the most? Let's start, ladies first, Stephanie.
I think I would have to say, the social interaction, but not just, I mean, so much of our lives as musicians are unspoken, at least in a verbal sense. And I feel that same connection with people. I've realized more not being able to hug and to really look into someone's eyes and to connect with them in that way. I'm getting even choked up thinking about that because I think, when we think of social distancing, it's so much deeper than just the kind of gathering. It really is a deep connection. And I hope, I know things will change in the future. They have to. We have to be more aware. But I think we have to somehow figure out how to retain that deeper connection with each other than just through a screen.
I was very moved by a comment. It was actually an artist in America during an interview, remarking upon the fact that for all the wonderful experiences you can have via Zoom with regard to music being broadcast from your living room, etc., music over the internet is like a cold flame. I thought that was a wonderful way of expressing the fact of you see the flame, but you don't necessarily feel that warmth, being in the room with live musicians, the alchemy and all that. Jerry, how about you?
Hi, yes, I would have to echo Stephanie's sentiments. For me, it's the friends. I miss my students here. Just seeing people, the things that we took for granted that came so easily before this time, that just being able to sit down and see friends, or just have a hugging a friend as you're passing by in the hallway. Of course, the making music together is something that I miss terribly. And so it's just the day-to-day things that I certainly cherish a lot more now. And I know that once all of this is behind us, I will not take for granted anymore.
Joel, you're arguably in what used to be considered the epicenter in New York. What has it been like for you, not just missing playing, but also just missing being with colleagues, etc.?
Well, I actually left New York a long time ago, actually about 3 months ago. As soon as everything shut down, my wife and I decided to leave. So we've been staying in Maine, where I grew up, which is a lovely place to be, especially this time of year. But it's interesting, Donald, when you came up on the screen and I saw your office, and I was just flooded with all these memories of being in Walk Festival Hall and hearing the sound of the orchestra in that room and working with you and the other musicians there. Imagining the orchestra members in the green room and the smell of the coffee dripping during orchestra rehearsal breaks, and that kind of beating heart of what the world of musicians and music making brings into all of our lives. I just miss that vitality a great deal. I don't know how to put it in a more specific way. It's just the feeling of this almost organism that is a group of musicians working together. That I sorely miss, for sure.
I think we have to devote a podcast only to this and talk further, because you all make, well, it's very moving seeing you and hearing you express those feelings. I'm sure each and every one of you have experienced in your young lives being part of competitions and trying to win prizes and trying to win scholarships, etc. How has it been for you just being judges? You know, now it's your turn. You know, now it's your turn, so to speak, to give back. Your feelings, Steffi.
It is always very interesting to me to be on this side, whether it's an orchestral audition, serving on that sort of a panel, where it's so completely impersonal, right? Where you sit behind that screen and you play, or you listen to exactly the same repertoire played by 50 some odd people. To be on that different side of the stage is always very unnerving. This is a lovely way to at least watch a young budding musician express themselves, become themselves, see what they feel is most important to put forward, whether it's a repertoire choice, or even in this day and age of video, of how they present themselves physically and their scenery behind them. All of those, not even before hearing what they get to say musically. I think it's been, as a judge in this day and age, very interesting to see that. But I think what's so lovely and so charming in a high school competition like this is to, just as I was saying first, is to see what they put into the passion that they find in these pieces that sometimes we've been listening to for quite a while now. You know, auditions, how many auditions I've listened to the Mozart oboe concerto, you know, and it's like to hear through a young eyes, through a young beating heart, how that's expressed is such a beautiful thing, and the artistry that they bring. So yeah, I think that's
Jerry, tell us about your experience of adjudicating this, and does it bring back memories?
It definitely does. You know, for me, I didn't start music until much later in life, until 8th grade, 9th grade. And so it brought back the memories of just the simple joy of playing the instrument and the sounds, and sort of just being able to express myself through playing an instrument. And I remember even not competitions, but auditioning for like all-state orchestra and all-state band, or all-state band, and just pouring myself into the music making. And then now watching these young musicians through video, and just seeing them do the same thing, and it was nostalgic. It was also, it just brought a lot of joy to me, in the sense that just remembering that how much music making meant to me, and seeing how much music making means to these young musicians, and seeing that our field has a bright future, and seeing a lot of them, and seeing their passion, and also just even through these videos, you know, a lot of times it's great to hear these things live, but just even in a video, you can see personality and passion and all these things coming through. So it was a real joy just to see, and very encouraging for our future.
Joel, your thoughts?
Well, I remember as a young musician, learning to play the cello was a joy, and was the thing I loved most. And then I went to my first competition, and I remember feeling like how strange it was that suddenly it was competitive, and there was a ranking of who was doing this better than somebody else. And I just remember how strange that felt. And being on the other side of it, judging competitions, knowing how we have to choose our colleagues in orchestras through auditions. What I love about this competition in particular, because I judged it last year as well, it's such a wonderful reminder that each contestant that comes into this world of competing, you learn their stories, and you realize that everybody's individual journey that brought them to this competition is a story of passion for music, and an investment in not only their own individual future as a musician, but an investment in the future of music at large. And I enjoy seeing that, judging competitions for young people, and always come away with such a profound level of respect for any young person who's entering into this world with that level of passion and commitment. So
I think as we get older, being the real oldie in the room, but as we get older, we keep thinking, oh, the next generation, gosh, it's just getting harder and harder to be in this profession. And oh my goodness, starting now as opposed to starting 20 years ago or 40 years ago. But now, of course, through this pandemic, it's all, as I said, surreal and just hard to imagine, besides just the competition, just how will the musical landscape look in 2 months, in 4 months, in 6 months. Anyway, we're all thrilled to have you all three here.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
I wish you were here.
Yeah.
We are at that point in the process, that virtual process, where the three judges, now that we've been introduced to them, will go and confer and make that fateful decision. Meanwhile, we're here with the three winners of the 2019 competition. We're with Marshall, Alexis, and Brian. Let me ask Alexis first. Your instrument, Alexis, is cello. Your hometown is CASPER,
Mhm.
here in Wyoming. Tell us a little bit about yourself in as far as what brought you to music and what impact has the scholarship, participating in it, but then also being a winner. How has that changed your life?
Yeah, so both of my parents are musicians, so I kind of grew up with music in the house. My dad plays the viola and my mom plays violin, and they both teach Suzuki, and my dad is also an orchestra instructor here in town. So it was always kind of a part of my life and, you know, my childhood and just growing up with it around the house. And the older I got, the more I realized that it wasn't just like, you know, my parents' thing. It was also kind of my identity too. It was like tied into who I was, and I really enjoyed that. And I was really lucky to be able to grow up with parents who could give me practice advice and things like that.
And what did they say when they found out that you'd won the scholarship or won a prize?
Oh, I think my family has always been so supportive, and they were just really, really proud. And my grandparents actually came to watch the competition and hear me last summer, which was really great because they hadn't seen me since Christmas, so it was kind of like a reunion at the competition. And winning the scholarship meant so much for my first year of college financially. I didn't really have to worry about even paying room and board, so I could just completely focus on what it meant to be a music student, and it was really amazing.
Brian, Brian, you're a singer.
Yes.
Your hometown is Cheyenne. Did I say that correct? As a Scot, Cheyenne.
Yep, that's
in Wyoming. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to music, and how things are now looking. I know we're all living in crazy times, but as a singer, how did the scholarship, just the process of working up to this competition, how has that changed you?
Similar to Alexis, my father was a musician. He was a trumpet player, and my mother, she kind of took piano lessons when she was young, and so it's always kind of been in my family as well. And I don't really know how I gravitated towards singing, but at one point I was maybe, I don't know, 11, 12. The boy soprano years, I gravitated towards singing, and I just kind of stuck with that. I did some music festivals in Colorado. I lived a good portion of my life in Colorado before moving to Wyoming, and those were transformative experiences for me. Yeah, and then when I got to the Grand Teton Music Festival and I became aware of that, I can honestly say that I don't know, of all my experiences to date and in concerts and performances and competitions, this might have been the most life-changing for me. First of all, because as a singer, I mean, I was 18 last year when I did the competition, and for an 18-year-old, you know, voice major, sometimes a 25 minute long program is a little bit daunting, and it was for me at the time. But yeah, as you said, leading up to that and the work that I had to put in the building the stamina and, you know, the confidence, yeah, and then finally getting out there and seeing that it did something and it kind of, you know, paid off. It was an affirmation that I'd never really had before on that level. And so it was, yeah, it was a remarkable experience. And I'd never been to Jackson, you know, I mean, the mountains, and it's unbelievable there. And it goes in tandem with the music, you know, I mean, it's a perfect place for the festival and the competition. So it was, yeah, I'm incredibly lucky to even be here today and be affiliated with you all. It's really amazing. So thank you.
Well, we're lucky to have young musicians like yourself, all three of you. The future certainly musically looks very bright indeed. Marshall, let me quickly ask you, you won the first prize, you're a pianist, you're from Boise in Idaho. Tell us also a little bit about yourself and what did the scholarship mean to you? What does the scholarship mean to you? What will it mean to you?
My music journey started a little different. I never really had anyone in my family who was involved with music, and I didn't really know anyone who played seriously like any instruments or anything. And I think it was about when I was 5 years old, I started asking my mom if I could start playing piano, if she could put me in piano lessons. I'm not really sure like why I was so interested in playing piano, but I'm really glad she decided to put me in lessons because it really has changed my life and it became my absolute passion. So yeah, I started out just playing on a little plastic keyboard, and that's what I had for a long time.
Plastic keyboard.
Yeah, just a little electric plastic keyboard. I wasn't able to get a real piano for until I was older. So
how many keys? How many keys does a plastic keyboard have? I mean, you're talking about a kiddie keyboard, or?
Yeah, it was like a full size keyboard, but it was just like a little electric one. Yeah, so that's what I had to play on for a long time. And I think because of that, and I never really had many opportunities to play in any like large competitions or anything before this competition, or participate in any summer like music camps or anything. So I kind of doubted myself as a musician when I was growing up, like doubted my ability to be considered a serious classical musician. So coming to this competition was really meaningful for me, just to be able to perform on such a beautiful stage and be surrounded by such talented people, peers and judges. It was just like, it was really impactful on me, and it made me feel like I really had made it as a serious musician. And so, yeah, it was just a really meaningful experience for me. And as well, of course, the generous scholarship really helped me to be able to afford my education at my like dream school. So yeah, I'm just like really grateful for the opportunity that I had at the competition.
Well, congratulations again to all three of you. I have one question actually, a quick question, which you can all please answer. What's next? What's next in your musical life? Alexis?
I just want to continue my education and my studies, and try to delve into different areas as well. This year I got so many new opportunities, like by going to my music school that I had never experienced before. I worked with like student composers to play the solo cello piece. I got to like debut a new music piece in like an art museum, and I also got to play my first opera like in the pit with the singers, and that was like an amazing thing to experience. I had done orchestra.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh.
I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Go on.
So I just want to continue just soaking up as much of my education as I can, and then hopefully, you know, taking auditions and playing in communities, doing as much as I can musically really is about all I have. Yeah.
Brian, what's next?
All right. Yes, I mean, as would all of us, I mean, I'd like to go back to school in the fall and continue. There's obviously going to be a lot of changes and things are going to look a lot differently, but I still think that's going to be my decision, is going to try to go back and continue. It's tough because our fall opera is not going to be happening. They're going to try to push it to spring because, I mean, as you know, I mean, the opera rehearsals, that's a challenge under these times. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that the opportunities will start to bloom again in the future, in the coming months and years. And like Alexis said, I've also kind of been exploring some other, you know, realms of music, and I'm really looking forward to, you know, actually stepping foot into conducting a little bit. It's been an interest of mine since I've been involved in music, really. And so, yes, I'm going to continue, you know, studying voice and hopefully some conducting at some point.
Marshall, do you have any further competitions on the horizon?
As of right now, I don't really have any concrete plans for the coming years or the coming months even. But yeah, I also hope to go back in the fall and continue to study music. I've grown a lot as a pianist, I think, in my first year, and so I'm
You're
excited.
at Emory, are you not?
Yeah, I'm at Emory University, yeah, in Atlanta, Georgia, and
well.
yeah, so yeah, and yeah, I've just met so many amazing mentors there, and I'm really growing as a musician, so I just continue to do that, and as well as piano, I also have joined an a cappella group with my peers, so that's been really fun. Getting to explore that other side of music, and I'm starting to arrange some music for my group. And I've also been involved with the orchestra at Emory, and so I hope to continue that also. And yeah, while I'm going to focus on piano, I hope to kind of broaden my horizons and start exploring different parts of music.
Well, it's such a pleasure to speak to all three of you and to get to know you a little better. And we at the Grand Teton Music Festival insist that you stay in touch and you let us know where you are, what you're doing, and we very much hope that we're confident that all three of you will go on and be celebrated for your musical talents. But it's not so much we want to take credit, but we're very proud of you, and please do stay in touch. We come now to the time where we get to know this year's finalists a little more, the three finalists in the competition. Let's start with Jordan. Jordan, you are a vocalist, I should say. You sing. Voice is your passion. You're from Billings. Tell us a little bit about what brought you to this point as a musician, and tell us a little bit about your dreams.
Well, when I was younger, music was more or less a way of just bonding with my mother. My mother was a classically trained concert pianist who received all kinds of scholarships and is one of the most talented instrumentalists I've ever heard in my life, and my personal coach. And kind of we didn't expect me to get in, but as a gimmick, we had auditioned for Interlochen's summer camp, Interlochen Arts Academy summer camp.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did I get in, I managed to get in with scholarships. So my parents nodded and said, maybe there's something to this. Maybe the boy's more talented than we think. And I went in and I made a lasting impression on the vocal director there.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted me back with everything he had in his heart. My original intentions was I was going to go to Interlochen's sophomore year through senior year, but my mother was diagnosed with a terminal cancer. And because of that, I stayed home to be with my family in case things got rough. I'm happy to say, thank God, she's still on this side of the earth, and every day's a blessing. But once he told us that, I really started to pursue music as a potential career and something I can share with the world. There's nothing I enjoy more than people walking up after me after a performance and telling me how much, it moved them, how much it impacted them, because I believe that my voice is a gift, just like every other instrumentalist's talent is. And to be able to share that with whoever I can is just fantastic. And as far as my future goes and what my dreams are, any performing career that I can pursue, I plan on. Whether it be operas, traveling companies, anywhere that will take me. If I can share my gift, I will happily do it.
Do you have a favorite singer? Do you idolize a singer?
I wouldn't say one overall. Per genre, for opera, I am a huge Pavarotti fan. And for my second favorite type of music is swing, and I'm a huge Frank Sinatra fan.
Well, now I'm out of my depth, but it's certainly good to meet you. Let's talk now with Colton. Colton, you're from HARTVILLE.
Yes.
You're in Wyoming. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to music, and how do you see the future? Where do you see the future? And of course, all of us at the moment are facing this huge uncertainty of how long will this pandemic live with us, or how long will we live with the pandemic? But tell us a little bit about you and your plans and your dreams.
My mother is a pianist. She teaches up at CASPER College and teaches at Vibes Music Studio. And so from that, I always grew up with music in the house, and she was always practicing or listening to CDs. And so from that, she taught me piano. And then after that, I knew I wanted to do something in music, but wasn't really sure if like piano was the right instrument for me or just where to really go with music. And so from that, I was about 10 or 11, and she asked me, you know, what instrument I would like to play. So she like mentioned flute, clarinet, and then and played different recordings of each. And then she eventually played, you know, the sound of an oboe. And I was like, you know, I heard it and I was like, that's definitely the instrument I want to play. And so from that, I started taking private lessons and did that for about 2 years. And then from that point, that really solidified that I wanted to pursue oboe as my, you know, main instrument and as my career. I hadn't really made a connection with anything that I've ever done like music. And I think that was something that really was special to me. I was like, you know, that this is what I want to do and like make, you know, hopefully make people feel what I feel through my performances and stuff. And then as a career, I hope to either play in a symphony or be a chamber musician. I really enjoy chamber music and just the community that music is in general. And I also play flute, clarinet, and saxophone. And so hopefully with that, I can either be on, you know, in a Broadway pit, doubling for shows, or, you know, use that to some extent.
I think you might become a conductor, because with that kind of comprehensive knowledge of the orchestra, I mean, every conductor dreams of being able to play all those instruments. Do you remember what music you heard that turned you on to oboe? Do you remember, you talk about, was it the sound of the instrument, or was it the instrument in a specific repertoire? Do you recall?
I don't recall the piece, but I think it might have been Tchaikovsky 4, the big oboe solo on that. And, you know, that still today, that's my most favorite excerpt to play. And I did that for, you know, all my college auditions and stuff. I think it's really just that and just the oboe in general just really grabbed my attention.
You youngsters probably don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about an LP, but one of my very, very, very first LPs, long playing records, was of Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony. It was Eugene Ormandy and the Philadelphia Orchestra. And I eventually threw it out because I played it so much, it was scratched to death. But I just remember that was just one of the pieces that as a young conductor, no, I didn't even know I was going to conduct, but that turned me on to the idea of, my goodness, what must it feel like to stand up in front of those musicians and participate in the music making. Fernando, then as a flautist or a flutist, where I come from, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, so I think what sparked me into music was, so my parents were never musicians, like not even my family, no one. I think what first sparked it was when I first watched Tom and Jerry as a little kid. It was purely orchestral sounds. You know, I just loved enjoying the sounds of an orchestra, and I didn't know what it came from actually. My family would actually listen to lots of mariachi music, so that's how I was exposed to different types of music of all genres, I feel like. And then growing up, I would say like during elementary school, I didn't have enough exposure to music at all, just because, or like instrumental music. I say this because I don't have memories of playing like instruments like the recorders. Our school wasn't able to provide us recorders at all, so we would just have to sing our voices. And it was until the 5th grade when I was told to pick an instrument. And they said, do you want to join the band or the orchestra? And from that point, I didn't know what the difference was at all. So that's how I ended up just playing the marching baritone. You know, way different than the flute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very fact that you are the 3 finalists, which in and of itself is really a remarkable achievement. How do you think that winning this scholarship, or one of the prizes, how do you think this is going to change your lives? Let's start with Colton.
When I found out I was a finalist, you know, that was really, I was amazed, you know, because like there is so much incredible talent out there, and, you know, everyone I think in this time is just really going through a hard time as far as, and money's really tight, and figuring out what college I was going to attend was a very tough decision because I didn't know, where money was going to fit. And so I think that, it's really been a blessing for me.
Jordan?
First off, the ability to not have to put a huge financial burden on myself or my parents is more than I could ever ask for in life. It's such a great gift, and it's such a great honor. And being able to add this to the things that I've done boosts my self-confidence personally, and it really helps me look toward, and again, it reminds me that I might have a future in this and I might have a career out of this, and it pushes me even harder to pursue it more.
Well put, very well put. Fernando?
Yeah, so during junior high, I would want, or even till now as well, like I would always want to compete in competitions, join some summer festivals, but honestly that wasn't possible just because I was always tight on money all the time. So I would always have to sell flutes on eBay in order just to support myself and for my family. So I feel like this scholarship would allow me to remove a financial burden on myself because money has been always tight from the beginning since I started. Yeah, when I first started getting licensed, it was actually just from the generosity of my teacher, Carlin Coolidge, because she understood that I didn't have enough money, and she actually gave me free lessons until now. So the scholarship will be able to help me afford the future plans that I have, which is just to meet more people and join more summer festivals.
Well, it's a great personal pleasure and privilege to meet all three of you, and will be helping you in your young careers. The very fact that with a voice student and a flautist and an oboist, there is the possibility, I intend being around a little longer, that we might indeed one day work together. But however this now transpires, congratulations to all three of you, and from all of the Grand Teton Music Festival family, the hundreds of musicians that come through this valley every year, I'm sure they would all join me in wishing you all the very, very best. It's now high time for some music. This is, after all, a music competition, and we're about to hear excerpts from the 3 audition videos that the 3 finalists submitted. First, let's hear an excerpt from one of our prize winners, Jordan Arnold SHAWVER.
Wenn sie entschwebt im Tal tirierten, ein selger Engel dort zu werden, wenn sie entschwebt im Tal tirierten, ein selger Engel dort zu werden.
Now it's time to hear from Fernando PEREZ. finally, we get a musical taste of the talents of Colton Morgan. The judges are back with us, and well, let's have a brief description of how was it in judging these three incredibly talented young musicians. Steffi.
So I think, as we were saying before, the one thing that I found a beam through all three of these was this beautiful passion for the music that they were presenting. The quality of their preparation was impeccable. Just the way that they confidently expressed the music. And as we had talked about actually in our deliberations before, something I brought up was the fact that seeing someone master the instrument so that they move beyond just the technical facility of an instrument and actually arise into a musician. And all three of these, I think, did this so beautifully.
Joel, your thoughts?
Well, always, it's a very difficult decision. Always a very difficult process to decide a winner, because all three bring something so individual and something so special to their performances. And of course, we celebrate the mastery, the mastering of an instrument or voice, which is of course a lifelong process. So we celebrate their development to this point. And I think we also respond to how that provides an opportunity for them to express themselves and express their feelings in a universal way. And all three were extremely compelling in that respect as well.
Thank you, Joe. Maestro Jerry, your thoughts?
Only one maestro in the room here.
And he wasn't paid to say that. You can come work here.
It was a pleasure to hear the three of them. What struck me was all of them had a very natural sense of musicianship that came through in their playing. Something, when you're a young musician, as Joel was saying, there's always the technical challenges, and that's something that we spend our lives trying to overcome with our instruments, so that we're free of those to really express ourselves musically. But all three of them have reached a point already that they could, there's a very innate sense of musicality that was coming through, and that sort of, I thought we all responded to very much so. Another thing that sort of came through for me was just sort of the joy and passion which each of them presented themselves. And each of them have very different personalities. Even speaking with them, of course, you see that. And that comes through in their playing. But I thought it was just really wonderful and compelling to see such young, talented musicians.
Thank you to all three of you, Steffi, Joel, Jerry, for your time and for your insight and for your generosity. And it's always extremely hard, I know, to find a hierarchy within three winners, which we already have. And as I mentioned to our finalists, it is my great pleasure and privilege, not just because my name is on this, but it is my great pleasure and privilege, and I say this on behalf of our great orchestra, to know that our future is in extremely good hands. if these three finalists are in any way representative of what is going on in our musical world. Time now for the announcement of the winners, and I should perhaps preface it with just the slight disappointment of actually not having you in the room with us, not being together, obviously, due to the situation we find ourselves in. It would have been, of course, far more appropriate for all of us to have been together. But let me start with the third prize. The third prize in this competition, the Donald Runnicles Scholarship, goes to, drum roll, Colton Morgan. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
The second prize goes to our singer, Jordan Arnold SHAWVER. Congratulations, sir. Very well earned.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, congratulations, sir. Congratulations. Which, of course, leads to the winner. The first prize, incidentally, which is $20,000, the second prize, $12,500, and the third prize, $7,500. The first prize goes to our flautist, Fernando PEREZ.
Oh.
Congratulations, sir.
Oh my God, my heart is just extremely full. Yeah.
How does it, well, I don't think I even have to say, how does it feel? I can see how it feels.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about all the memories I've had with music, how much of a joy I've been playing with others in the orchestra, and just like in other competitions, just being able to participate at all. Mm-hmm. And all my teachers that helped me, because I know they've basically been fostering me from the start, because I've always had a difficult time with money. And it's just over. It's just heartwarming for me. Thank you, guys.
Well, it's heartwarming for us. It's heartwarming for all of us to experience three great musicians such as yourselves. And as I said to you earlier before the judges joined us, it is our deep desire that you stay in touch, that you really do let us know how your musical talents and careers and ambitions all develop, because now you're members of the Grantee to Music family. That's a large family and it's always expanding, but it always embraces really very, very highest of standards. So congratulations to all three of you. A little applause isn't necessary. So there we have it, the 2020 finalists and the 2020 winner of the scholarship with my name on it. Makes me very, very proud. To all six of you, thank you, and on behalf of us all the very, very best. And my deep thanks go to Joel, to Stephanie, to Jerry for once again having put so much time and trouble into judging this competition. None of these competitions, indeed, would have been possible without the incredible generosity of a donor whose wish is still to remain anonymous. We are deeply, deeply indebted to this person, because without that, these young musicians, I am sure they'll make their way, but I think this could help them in a substantial way. So to all of you participating from the Walk Festival Hall here in Wyoming, it's a little lonely, primarily because there should be 250 musicians passing through the valley. I miss the music making and the camaraderie. It's quite unique in the world. Until we all make music together again. Thank you.